Hey everyone, and welcome to another roundtable discussion for this season of the Adonis Project. Munene, Steve, and I are going to give you a recap of how the show went on May 18th. That was a show that I competed in with Brody, Munene, and Steve. We talk about the whole vibe of the weekend. We talk about how the show actually went and just the positive influence this journey has had on us. And we really dive a bit more into that team atmosphere and the value of having that team. And that's really what we're trying to build. You know, competition prep is a very solo type sport, but I think we've done a good job at, bringing that team vibe into this. And we also talk about what are the plans going forward for each of us, and also the two more competitions that Team Truth has coming up, as well as some new members that you might see some of their faces popping in the near future. So this is the last episode with Steve, because that was a competition that he was going to compete in on May 18th. So he is done, but we will be filling in the gap. We're going to miss Steve, but we have some fresh faces that might be popping in. So stay tuned for that. So sit back, relax, enjoy this episode. And as always, if you want to completely transform your body and your mindset, that is what we do at Truth Body Systems, and we can't wait to work with you. All right, let's dive in. Hey everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the podcast roundtable of the Adonis Project Season 2. This is the final episode that we're actually going to have Steve on. At this point in time, we have completed the second show, and that was the show that myself, Munene, Steve, and Brody all competed in. And then Steve is now going to enter into what we call the lean machine phase, where he's going to maintain being lean. We're keeping him in the prep group chat because he's too good of a vibe and we can't kick him out of that. But this will be his last podcast episode, and then we're going to replace him with some special guests coming up, because we do have one more show for Team Truth, or actually technically two more shows for Team Truth this season, which we'll get into. We have Munene and Brody going to nationals because they qualified for that. That is in early August. And then we have summer shredding in middle of August. And that one is going to be myself, Brody, Munene, our client Ryan, and then also in the transformation category, Mark, who you will meet on most likely the next podcast. So the season is not over, but we have a lot to recap because we had a show, I guess now it was like 3 weeks ago, which is insane. And we're going to chat about that. So I guess before we chat about the show, how's life been in the past 3 weeks, guys? If we could give some insights.
Steve, hit it off, man. Take the mic.
It's been pretty good. Kind of nice getting back to some semblance of normal, I guess we could go with, like post show. But it, Parris and I and Munene, you kind of heard the snippet there just before we went live. Like it's been busy. It's back to kids sports stuff, and it's, May was crazy. We had the show, and then I was away. I was away in Ottawa the weekend after, and then at another baseball tournament last weekend for my son. So it's just been like social battery overload over the last little bit. It's been a lot of getting back into all the things, not all the things that we put aside, but some of the things that took a little bit of a back seat. Not that family ever takes a back seat, but certainly that week leading up to the show was very focused on the plan. And so it's been a little bit hectic, getting back into a little bit more of a routine, and that is outside of the specific goals of getting ready for the show. But it's been good. You know what? Workouts have been good. The extra calories never hurt. Starting to grow the hair back on the arms and the legs a little bit, starting to get a little bit of more me back. But and I'm pretty sure almost every inch of that tan is gone. So finally, it's like wiping paint off. So but yeah, you know what? But yeah, post show, couple of hectic weeks, but it just feels good to have that kind of weight off. That weekend was a big high. A lot of energy, a lot of hype, and it was a very long night. And I know we'll get into it, but yeah, it feels good to have that kind of weight off the shoulders a little bit more. So yeah. What about you, Munene? I know you never really got the weight too far off the shoulders, so
so funny. The show was 3 weeks ago, and this phase has been 3 weeks. So then we're right back into it. 3 weeks, 6 weeks total, and then back into it. So we'll get into the show after. But I think the question Parris asked is, how's it been since that's been done? So yeah, it's been really good. Initially, there was a period coming off the show initially where I was sad. It was so weird, and it's just a bunch of reasons like hormones, and then just that coming off the high of the weekend where everyone's just so ecstatic and the energy's so high. But it would last for around a week, and then it went into a week after that where my emotional state was pretty low, vibrating on a really low frequency. And that's so unlike me, because I'm normally just always so positive, happy. That's just like part of who I am. And so I was like, this is foreign. This is weird. What's going on? And then I'm very grateful that I have the self-awareness to acknowledge that there was nothing really in my life at that point that would cause me to get down to such an extent. And so, yeah, it was just take it as it comes. This is completely normal, giving myself some grace. But aside from that, that's no longer a thing. Where it faded, it lasted like 7 days, maybe 8 days. And it's kept dying down, getting better each day as the days went on. But yeah, since that, training, amazing. Workout performance, great. Pumps, great. Energy, great. Hormonal balances is like hormonal balance is like back up. I recovered pretty quickly in some aspects of my physiology, so that's a really good sign. And yeah, I'm just loving it. Having more food as well has been great with more variety. So all in all, very successful maintenance phase before the next dig next week, to say the least.
Right on, guys. Right on. For me, post show, it's been a whirlwind in terms of like personal stuff, I would say for sure. But in terms of like fitness stuff, we came out of the gates pretty conservative with my calories. And I feel like I was still in kind of a slight deficit. So even like, 2 weeks post show, my calories were still not that high, and I was still carrying quite a bit of diet fatigue, I would say. But this past week, we made another jump by a couple hundred calories between 200 or somewhere around 200. Usually like I end up like 150 above my previous targets, which made a massive difference, to be honest. Like even just that extra 200 calories, like really kind of brought me to where I need to be and feel more balanced. I'm still very lean, I would say. But now I'm like lean, but my muscles are fuller. So I feel like I actually look better in the gym. Definitely. Some of those like deep cuts are not as there. Like I'm not as like crisp in certain contexts, but that's more like in terms of body water, not really body fat. I don't think I've gained like really that much body fat like since the show. Very, very, very minimal. But now I think I'm actually at a sustainable level of eating, and I actually feel like I could maintain this level of leanness with effort. Like I feel pretty good. Like training is pretty solid. Maybe I could do with like maybe a little bit more body fat on me, I think, if I was to like maintain this for like a long time. But this is maintainable for me from a psychological standpoint as well. And I do feel like good. So that's kind of the post show for me. And then, we'll talk like maybe kind of plans coming up. And then we'll talk about the show day, I think, as like the finale. So plans coming up. I'll just start since I'm already talking. May as well. Plans coming up. So I'm going to probably keep eating at a similar level and hold steady here. And then I'll make a final descent into the summer shredding show for like the last 5-6 weeks. Like from here, even within a month, I'll be like pretty much where I need to be. But I think we'll probably give myself around 6 weeks. So starting in July through till the show, that's when we'll probably make that final descent because it's August 17th. So that's my personal plan. Steve, what's your personal plan this next little foreseeable future?
Well, like you said, you came out of the show pretty conservative, and we've done the same thing, right? Like the goal for me now is like, last time I did this show, I got really lean, and then I've basically just spent the last 3 years like swinging 30 pounds, calculated 30 pounds from 180 to 150 to 180 to 1. So now without doing the show, without having anything else specifically kind of in line, the goal now is just to stay lean, right? Maintain this a new level of leanness for a longer amount of time. Work on the summer bod, if that's what we're going to go with. I haven't had one of those since I was 16, and I think that was more just because I was 16 and had nothing on me. So so we've been pretty conservative coming out of it, and I think I've only really put on like a pound or two in the last couple of weeks, like, because we hit about 150 just before show day, and then we put a couple of days of higher days in there, and as of I guess this morning, I was still sitting about 155 ish. So it's very conservative, So the plan is to try and maintain down here, but put all the focus that we put into the workout or into the show prep back into training, back into the workouts. We've got a new setup where every day is some sort of total body, which is it's cool. It's an adjustment. It's not a leg day in a separate one. So we're hitting legs every workout. It's just a total body kind of. I'm not even going to say we're recomping or anything. We're just taking the lean frame and going to try and chisel it a bit more and just see what we can do with it over the next few months. And then somewhere in August, I guess I got to start making some signs up so that I can have something for the show day, so I'll work on the arts and crafts in the 2 weeks leading up to show. I'll get the kids involved, and
100%.
And that's it. I'm just going to try and enjoy the summer, right? Enjoy the heart's coming out. I'm just going to enjoy the summer with the family, with a little bit of freedom, a little bit of that mental break that is well needed by the time show prep is over. And just try and cruise along, and maybe by the fall, just be really kind of locked in with a good physique that I can just continue to pound out the weights back here and just try to look good, try to look the best that I ever have. So that's the plan.
Love it, man. I think we can put on some shape in the right spots while maintaining this like leanness, which is kind of cool. And I want you to see what that looks like. Because even a few days after the show, when I was reviewing your form videos, I was like, what the heck? Like, you filled out so nicely. Like it's still lean, but the muscles were like full and the pumps were there, and you're still your tan. I was like, damn, Steve, this is
those
jacked.
The delts and the triceps really held in. I've noticed my lats filled in a little bit more. Like you, I don't have the same crispness that I did, at the show when we were sliced right in, but I feel good. Like I don't feel bloated and full. We're other than just taking a few liberties with the calories here and there, it overall for the week, we're still staying pretty clean. And you know what? I think I'm excited to see what Speedo season brings this this winter or this spring. Summer, I mean,
in the winter. Oh my gosh!
It'll be interesting. Polar bear dip,
Yeah, you're very confident, if you know what I mean. If you're going to wear a Speedo in the winter, but I think super awesome. That's all I gotta say, Steve. Super, super awesome, and I'm excited for you to see kind of what happens with your body here. I think really, really, really cool. Really cool.
Looking wild.
Mr. Munene, what about you? Foreseeable future here?
Unlike these two, we did not come out of the show conservatively because we were doing another show at the start of August. So we had to just refill the hole that we dug, just to give me somewhat of a break and just gain a bit of body fat, not too much, just gain a bit of body fat, get the psychology in the right place, get the physiology and the internal everything in the right place before the next dig. So we actually just increased calories significantly, assertively, I should say, to around 3,800 to 4,000 for just 1 week post show. And then they dropped back down for the next 2 weeks after to 3,000 to 3,200. And as I alluded to earlier, that's just because I'm nationals, this other show that I'm doing, which Steven and Parris weren't doing, which is why they were more conservative, is on August 3rd. So we really didn't have that much time to give me somewhat of a break, which is why we were so assertive right out the gate. But yeah, so foreseeable future is now going back into prep starting Monday. Calories are laid out, new training program is laid out, and we're in the right state of mind. We're ready to execute. I've been amping myself up this whole week, and yeah, just redialing the switch back towards absolute savage mode, kill mode, to say the least. So just trying to wind it back towards that other end of the spectrum. So that's been good, slowly but surely, and we're ready for it.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's the thing. You got to know kind of timelines and everything, and because we dug in hard for the show, you got to think of, as a coach, I got to also take care of the athletes too. Like, I don't just want to keep digging Munene and make him suffer all summer just for the sake of it. You know what I mean? Like, you have to think about the athlete, and it's tough on the psychology and the physiology at the late stage of prep. So for him, we just needed to, again, get out of the hole that we dug as quickly as possible and just give him some sort of a reprieve, some sort of a break from the suck, we'll call it, and just get his psychology in a good spot and let him recover a bit physiologically as well as psychologically and emotionally, and then, back into it, right? So it was a bit of an interesting situation. I wouldn't recommend having this long of a season, to be completely honest. For most people, I don't think it's necessarily an optimal situation. However, this goes way bigger than just competing for Munene, this whole process. And Munene is also an absolute savage, but is also, his life kind of revolves around this. And this is important for him from a personal standpoint, as well as, from we'll call it it's tied into business as well. So he's got multi-layers of motivation. And also, because we have nationals, we're not just playing at a regional show anymore. This is a national show. So, we're not going to pass up on that opportunity to really bring the heat and see where we stack up against people from all over Canada. This is a really unique opportunity to showcase not only at nationals and summer shredding, right? With a lot of exposure, and this can really do crazy things for Munene. So that's why the season is so long for him. I would not recommend somebody have this extended season. Most 99% of people, I would highly not recommend that. But you got to look at the context that we're in, right? We got to look at the context that we're in. So, awesome, guys. All right. Now I want to talk a bit about show day. Okay. So we know what the game plan is going forward. We're good to go. I don't even know where to start for show day. I mean, we can do it timeline. I just want to say awesome freaking weekend. Very, very tiring. But maybe we'll kind of go I don't know what kinds of emotions were going through that weekend. Steve, just give us where are we feeling?
Oh, we hit everything. We hit other than sad, crying at a rom-com. We hit every other emotion, right? The moment.
That's so true.
As soon as I picked you guys up from your dad's place, Parris, and it was all of a sudden the vibe went up, and then we get into the car and we went through deep, meaningful conversations, stupid conversations, talking about food, the traffic. We hit every little thing. And then when we get to the hotel and Brody's waiting there for us, the beacon there in his shirt, looking cool, all tanned. And then it was just party time. I felt that we hit, we got focused when we needed to get focused, but at the same time, I can guarantee nobody had more fun than the four of us for that 24-hour period, 72 hour, not even 72 hours, but from Friday at 2 p.m. to Saturday milkshakes. I don't think anybody had more fun, right?
I test that statement.
And it was just positive. Everything was up. Even when we were resting, the vibes were there. You could just always feel this. It's almost like this underlying hum of positive energy and positive, whatever song has you jacked, whatever has just something in the background, it just felt like that. There was just right from the second that we all connected to when we parted ways Saturday night, it was just this underlying hum. And every once in a while, it felt like the bass drop, and we're like, here we go, it's party time. And then we'd come down off of that, and there'd be this little hum, and it was just, yeah, it was unreal. It was.
Sorry to cut you off, Steve, but even Parris's dad noticed that. Remember how he called us?
He called us like, I noticed the energy shift.
Yeah.
And I just think like that was the just underlying, like, it was just that, like I said, I feel it like it was just that underlying hum of just that positive energy. And yeah, all weekend long. And it was pretty unreal. I didn't expect it to be that much fun. Like, it's just fun. For lack of a better, a more intricate term, and Munene's probably got a thesaurus up there. He's going to come up with a better term, but it was just fun. It was lighthearted and fun the whole weekend, even when some of the harder parts were kicking in, the timing, and we'll go through some of the stuff, the actuals, I'm sure on show day, but yeah, everything else it was just a fun, lighthearted weekend. So
love it. Munene? Emotion?
Yeah, exactly what Steve said. Every emotion was experienced that weekend. From Parris sleeping to like for 1.5 hours or 2 hours, I don't know what it was. To Steve and I like getting 3 hours of sleep because our tan was at 4 a.m. I just walk outside and I just hear Parris listening to a podcast. I was like,
he was listening to coaching podcasts, right? Like,
yeah. I was like, his tan is not for another hour. And then I was like, Parris, you awake? He's like, yeah, man, I didn't sleep. Or maybe I slept for like an hour and a half. I was like, oh no, sorry, man. So every emotion, just fatigue, excitement, just joy, frustration, because of some missed timings. And there was a point in time where I was like so excited, and then I was literally like a different person. I was like, whoa, who is this guy? Like, what demon possessed me right now? Because I was just so like serious faced. But yeah, it was just an amazing weekend. All in all, the vibes were immaculate. We had a great time. We had fun, and we just brought the energy. And that's all I can say. There's more, but that sums up everything, to be honest.
Yep, I agree. There was kind of like this magnetism, I think, to our group, which was kind of cool. You know what I mean? And I think that's very unique, and that's why I really took a step back, like, during that weekend, and I kind of looked at things like from a bird's eye view, and for that moment, I was present in the moment, and I was like, this is pretty damn cool. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was just really cool to see that vibe and have our group there and have that team atmosphere and have that kind of magnetic pull. Like, people wanted to talk to us, hang out with us, sleep on our blankets without asking.
We wanted to sleep on our blankets, practically
use our bands without asking either. But
yeah,
but we're that
anyway.
Magnetic, guys.
Yeah. But it was overall just like, what an incredible experience. And I think if you want like behind the scenes, I just finished editing the vlog, and Courtney's going to make the draft and post it on YouTube. I did kind of a show day weekend vlog. I tried to get what I could, but again, there's so many things to manage on that weekend, including my own variables, plus these guys' variables, plus all things with the show. So I couldn't get everything, but I tried my best. And also just having some of our friends and family. We had one of our clients, Jordan, come out. We had what now is a client, Ryan, come out, and then Brody's parents, my parents, Tara came out as well. So we had, even though it was far away, we had some great vibes. And I think, amidst the lack of sleep and everything, like, it wasn't really about that. Like, I was so content with the entire experience that I truly didn't really care that much even about like my physique at that point. Like, when I was going on stage, I was like, to be honest, I'm kind of cold right now because it was cold backstage. We had to go outside. And then I was like, I barely slept. So like, I just look super watery and stringy right now. But I was like, I don't even really care, man. Like, I'm having a good time. Like, I got what I needed to out of this process. And I think it was also, we'll talk a bit more about like the actual like competition part of this, right? It was cool because I got to go on stage with Brody, like next to him. And we have this funny picture. You can see my mouth moving because I was at the back line and Brody was doing comparisons with the other two guys. And I was like coaching him on his posing on stage. You could just see my mouth moving. And it's just like, it's
open up,
funny.
keep your back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was giving cues.
I was because I was just the timing worked out great, so I was able to sit back and watch some of that, and I'm like, I can see from where my vantage point, I'm like, oh, look at him, he's coaching, he's never not coaching. Because, you know, like, and when the three of us were back there, Munene, you were on stage in that final one, and I'm now done because I've done all of mine, and I've got I got a little, Brody and I have got a couple little mini chocolate bars going. Munene's getting his name pronounced 15 different ways. We're getting on. Stephanie's out there with her camera, getting the footage, the backstage. You were having a party. Munene is up there, he's still digging in and grinding, and we're just cheering him. And oh yeah, and you're like, there was never a moment where you didn't have that, like, whether it was the coaching, whether it was the cheering, like, it was cool that we were always able to be right beside each other, even though we were in like 4 different categories. We were never far away. So, it'd be one thing if you would, like, the venue was, down the hall around the corner and you couldn't see, you could still feel that magnetism, but it wasn't. We were all right there. You were waiting in your for your lineup when other guys are on stage, and you're coming down and you're hanging out and, trying to find a bit of space amongst all the slippery push-ups going on. And
yeah, no, it was truly always connected in some way, shape, or form, which is really cool. I think, we didn't take home maybe as much and we'll get to this now. I think we didn't take home maybe as much hardware as we would have wanted to in this show, but I think it didn't almost even matter because it was such an impactful, like, moment, I think, in everybody's life and for our team and for our circle, that it didn't really even matter. I didn't even place top 5 in my class, I don't think, or maybe I did, or maybe, anyways, I didn't place top 3 for sure. I held my own up there, I would say, but I didn't place top 3. Brody just got edged out of the bronze in our, which was, again, this is a subjective sport. Do I think objectively he probably should have got 3rd? Potentially, depending on what the judges were looking for. I could see why they might have given it to the other guy, but I could also very much see Brody could have easily gotten 3rd. So we'll say he got edged out of that. Munene won his class. Okay. Steve put up a great job against a guy who probably was on TRT, so I don't even think
it was a big dude.
Let's just say natural. We all have different definitions of what natural means. We'll just put it like that. I don't want to make any assumptions, but there's some things that I can just tell based on what people look like. But anyways, not going to be sore losers about it. It wouldn't have changed the result, but it's just like, okay, so that's that. But I would say, and then in the finals, so Munene competed in the overalls, right? And the overalls were stacked. I mean, physiques in the overalls were just like jaw-dropping. Like, are these human beings or are these like CGI characters? I'm not sure which one. And Munene placed 2nd. He was competing in the middle. They moved to the middle. Going next to this guy. And if you guys think Munene is muscular human being, the guy that ended up beating Munene to win the overall,
oh my God, he was
like 20% more muscular.
Yeah, he was. I've said all along that Munene is not actually human. He is built differently physically. But yeah, this dude was not. I don't know. I don't know if it's. I don't know what his deal is, but yeah, it was unreal. I'm like, man, when I grow up, I want to be muscular like these guys here. Like
West
that guy's physique.
That's all I'm gonna say.
West Africans.
West Africans, man. I'm from East Africa. We're runners. We're Kenyan guys. We run in the Olympics, man.
I know you're way too big to fit in with the marathon crew. You'd like push all of them over as soon as you did a lat spread. The whole starting line would be knocked over.
Oh man, that's too funny. Yeah, sorry, Parris, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, from your perspective, like, how was it being up there in the overall with those amazing physiques, and then just the sheer amount of muscle mass that you were competing against? I mean, your stage presence was definitely better, I would say, and maybe your posing was a bit better, but there's no way the judges could have given it to you just because the sheer amount of size that guy had, like insanity. But how was your perspective, kind of being up there, in that moment?
I loved it. Just the energy feeding off the crowd, just the final, the lights, energy, the fact that you've won your class and now you're going for the overall title. Like, it's so surreal. it's just really, really exhilarating. And so just seeing that, like all the overall winners of that, I'm just like, damn, these are some people in great shape. And I'm very humbled that I was, chosen to be part of a group of such amazing athletes. So that was the first thing. And then the second was like, okay, this is exciting. And I was like, okay, I'm coming for blood. Like I was like, I want to win this. The competitive aspect in me was like, okay, let's go. Let's hold our own. Let's just get this done. And so obviously they kept moving us, him and the overall winner and I, back and forth. And
they were having a hard time, that's for sure.
Yeah, they moved us, and I was like, oh, I thought I might actually have this. I didn't think I was like, oh, this could be. It's either him or I. That's because we were both in the center. And I remember going back off the stage after they compared us, back shot, front shot, going back and just, saying a quick prayer. And then I was just waiting. And then they said his number, and I was like, fair enough. I gave him a clap. I was disappointed, which is okay, but it didn't let me. So what I say is like, it's a double D, disappointed, but don't dwell. So you can be disappointed, but don't dwell on that outcome and start to, increase the magnitude of the event, right? So I was disappointed, but nonetheless, I had a great time because all of you were there. And hey, you can't win everything, right? You shouldn't expect to win everything. And that loss lit an even greater fire within me to now come back and just, continue evolving and developing. But yeah, surreal experience. Kudos to him. Insane physique. His torso is so long too. It's chest and then it's abs. It's like what?
But he's like a foot shorter than you. Like he was. How does he have that working in such a different frame? Like, I know we've touched on it before, where genetics plays a slight. It plays a role no matter what you do. It plays a huge role. But like when you just look at the 4 or 5, was it 4 or 5 of you? I don't know. It's hard to tell. It looks like there's 20 of you up there, but you're like, everybody is just that much different. Like Munene, you are a head taller than everybody except for maybe 2 guys throughout the whole show. There was that questionably natural guy in my category he was just a big human being, like looked like a gladiator. And then there was another and there were a couple of guys that were big. So there were 3 of you that like were a head taller than everybody else, but everyone else, like the different heights, the different sizes, so many different chest to waist ratios, the backs are different, and you can tell everybody's put in the work, but just where it's all like where you have Play-Doh'd yourself into a mold there it's just so crazy to see how much difference there is. And he was like a head shorter than you, but his dimensions were so different, and you're like, all right, this is
dance.
Yeah, it's very.
He definitely deserved it.
Oh, for sure.
Like I think they made a great decision. Like by all means, being completely objective, it's kind of hard sometimes when you look at it objectively and you take a step back to quote unquote, for lack of a better word, catch feelings or get upset when it's a subjective sport.
Oh, yeah.
That's, you know what I mean? It's so subjective. So you can't really catch feelings or get down on yourself for too long. But I think they made a very good decision. I think they chose a good pick. Like, I think they generally did, because look at him. He was conditioned too. Maybe not the most, but he had a great ratio of conditioning to the size. So, by all means, kudos to the guy.
I don't think they really knew, right? Like, that was the longest stage presence, judging. Everything else, they like, you. But you guys, they kept looking and they kept looking and they kept looking, and they're like, it came down to, this piece versus that piece or whatever it is. But it's not like there was a clear winner. And when you get the best of all the categories, there better not be. Like, it's, playoff structure and everything else. You eventually get to the best teams, the best performers, the best athletes. Like, yeah, it should be close. It should be pretty close between at least the top couple. And yeah, it was. It could have gone either way.
Yeah, you know what? Like, they also work you up there for the overalls because they're trying to compare, but also like they always do that, right? Because they want you to have your stage time. It's like hyped, everybody's screaming,
Big
but
show.
they work you. So that sometimes even if they can't actually decide, somebody just gets tired and their posing starts breaking down. And then once the posing start breaking down, then if they were a split decision between two people, obviously the persons who maintain their posing gets the trophy. So that's why I think it's important to practice your posing and not get fatigued. But that's also why I was screaming from backstage to Munene. I was like, you don't get effing tired. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, you don't
That
get
hyped
tired.
me up.
I was like, okay, whatever's going to keep this guy fueled, because as soon as the posing starts breaking down, you just don't look right up there. So it's like, this guy is like, he's holding those freaking poses, if I have something to say about it, so I was like, don't you fucking, I mean, post on the podcast, don't you effing lose that pose up there.
Well, you don't want to pull up short, like 95 meters into a 100-meter race, right? Like, you're going until somebody tells you to stop.
Ooh,
like,
that's a good analogy.
Because you've put in all the work, and if you think you got it in the bag, or you don't think you got it in the bag, and then you just pull up short, well, there you go. You have just handed it away, and then you don't have the same. You can be disappointed, but you can't be as disappointed because you didn't give yourself that best snap, right? Like, I mean, there's no reason we can't be disappointed in results, right? Like in anything we do. So, but did you put your best? Did you go out there and put everything on the line, or did you go out there and you're like, yeah, whatever? And if you go in with a yeah, whatever, then you can't be as disappointed. Like, I think there is that ratio. Whereas if you were going out and the more you put in, the more mental and the more kind of heart and soul you put into whatever event you're doing, the more disappointment you're going to have if you don't do well. But you can't be like, well, what else could I have done? If you're on stage and you're like, yeah, those first couple of turns I really did well, but then I slacked because I was just having a bit fun. I was tired. And you're like, well, this is that you have given this, you have not given yourself that best opportunity. But oh yeah, there was no way you hit every pose. You had that big grin. All the whole thing. You had that stage presence from the second they called your name to the second we were all back until we were back upstairs eating gummy worms. Like, so you knew that you put everything on the line. There was no question there. So
thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I thank you guys for the support. And that's definitely something that motivates me now. That those words. You don't get tired. That's what I was saying in my head at Toronto Nationals. You don't get tired, don't get tired. And then Parris was shouting that. I was like, okay, nothing hypes me up more during comparisons than hearing those words. You don't get tired. So that's our new motto.
That's it.
Every time
Team Truth,
stage, you don't get tired. That's it. That's all I need to hear. And I'm like, yep. Just trick the mind. But both of you too. We all had a great time. We had the stage presence, the charisma. You could just see we're genuinely having fun on that stage. Like, you can't fake authenticity. You can't fake passion. It's you either have it or you don't. So it was great just to see how all of us were up there smiling, and Parris coaching Brody while he's smiling and just doing his authentic thing. Steve was like, clapping for the other competitors too. Like, oh, damn, he looks really good. You can tell. He's like, wait, but they have competition. Steve's like, well, I'm here to have fun, man. And I brought my best physique. I already won before I stepped on that stage.
That's it. Just like Parris said.
Like
Parris said, it was, we're here. We made it. We whatever. Are we pulling home as much hardware as maybe we hope? No, but did we put all our effort in and we got to that show and we're having a great time? And that, like you said, it shows. It just, we're up on stage. We're not slacking. We're not doing it. We're doing everything that we need to do. But nobody said you can't enjoy a competition day. Nobody said you can't enjoy celebrating the hard work that you did. This is it. That's what it is. It's a showcase, right? It's go up there half naked and be judged by all these strangers. So might as well have some fun with it, right? Like,
it's too funny when you say it like that. It's so funny.
Yeah. And so Very well said, and it totally is, but at the end of the day, it's still competition. So, looking forward, we're still going in with that competitor's mindset. For Munene, we have high expectations for the nationals. We want to place top 5 at nationals, which means we got to bring some freaky conditioning, which means there's going to be some suffering in order. For Brody, same thing. We need to bring more conditioning. So we're going to make a statement at nationals. Let me tell you that right now. I'm going to go just purely as a coach. Obviously, I didn't place for nationals, but I didn't qualify. But I will be going there for the Friday, Saturday, just to coach these two handsome dudes. But I think that, we're still, as Munene say, we're still coming for blood. And regardless of what happens, we're having a good time while we're doing it. But it's at the end of the day, this is still a competition. We're still going with a competitor's mindset and an athlete's mindset to want to strive for excellence and nothing below that, right? Regardless of what happens. So that's kind of the mindset going forward. And I think something, that was the show itself. But after, the cool thing was that we got ice cream. Okay. We got ice cream for the first time in a while, and a lot of it. And it was very sweet. And I was like, wow, this is almost too sweet, but I'm going to eat it anyways. And then I also ate some of Tara's ice cream as well. And that was a cool moment. I never seen Steve look happier than he did in the moment with his milkshake. I wish he looked at Amelia, his wife, the same way as he looked at that milkshake.
Now you're just throwing me under the bus here.
I'm just kidding.
It's too good.
Oh man, sorry, Amelia. But I feel like that was a really cool moment too, and you can watch it in the vlog. And at that point, we were just so tired, but it was still a good time. And we still have to make the drive all the way back home, but we got a good night. Yeah, shout out Tara for driving us back home. Honestly, Munene and I were just sitting in the back, so like just fatigued and like just like talking about absolute nonsense. I don't even know. And then we came home. We had like some vegetables, not gonna lie. Then we had like a bowl of cereal, and we're like, okay, dude, no more eating because we're like, we got sushi tomorrow. Then the next day, we got sushi with Tara, Steve's daughter, my mom, and Munene, and it was a great sushi day, a fantastic day. We really enjoyed that meal. It's too bad that Brody couldn't make it out for that one, but it was a fantastic celebration and like a very memorable moment in time, I think, for everybody. And there's so many more memories to create. And I think this is like the first chapter of this journey, a very long chapter, right? But such like a special, moment that like the sushi was almost more, I don't know. It was more of a memorable moment even for me than like some of the show day aspects, just kind of like just super cool. Cause like, this is all about the circle and growing together and self-development in general. Like seriously guys, like this is it's not just working out and things. It's like goal setting and crushing what you say you're going to do. Like that's what this is all about. That's what I'm preaching. I'm not preaching
integrity,
macros and fat loss and things like that. Like that's all great, but it's like, yeah, having integrity to say this is what I'm doing and going all in and going constantly all in on self-development and leveling up and being surrounded by people who are also all in on self-development and want to level up and want to push themselves and you to be better, and having that support system and sharing that mindset between people that are all rock stars in their own lane. And then we can kind of celebrate together. And that is the powerful part of this process. And these are all things that I wish I had when I was younger. Those just people around me that are like pushing and understand the kind of mindset that I'm trying to uphold. And looking around now, like, that's what we got, man. And it's only growing. We've had some great new team members come in the past little bit too. And we're building this kind of, this tribe of just like go-getters, man. And that's what I want to see, is just like being okay with saying I want more for myself and then going all in to get there. Right. And that's what this is all about. And that's what I'm going to continue preaching on and on and on and on. It's just like, there's always another level, and push for it. Like, why are you staying in this small little box? Like, whatever you think is limiting you is not limiting you. It's only limiting you because you're telling yourself it's limiting you, right? Like, your potential is so much higher. Like, go look at the transformations of these guys during this prep. Those are mind-blowing transformations. You might see the end result and be like, oh yeah, this guy's got a good physique. It must come easy. It didn't come easy. Months of being calculated and dedicated to this journey, right? And go look at those mind-boggling transformations. That doesn't just happen by accident. You have to force growth. You have to force yourself to grow by making small decisions on a daily basis and being unconditional in your actions towards that vision. That's how you achieve that crazy transformational, development as a person.
Oh, that was very well said, Parris.
Mm-hmm. And I
Very
think
well said.
the little add-on to that is these may be like the fitness journey in general. You have decided to make that jump. You've decided to make that improvement. And a lot of people, I think, get stuck and think it is just them. Like it's only them. Maybe they've got a friend. Maybe they walk with somebody twice a week. But it sounds, a lot of things that we do are very selfish in a way, right? Working out to improve yourself. Yes, there are a lot of benefits from improving yourself, but realizing that you can do this solo work and dig in and go hard from whatever level you are going to, but you can still do it in a team. Like you can still have that support network. All three of us may have been doing, having similar goals by the end of the show, but not anymore. And it doesn't mean like, because I'm not doing one or two more shows this summer, it doesn't mean that I'm like, okay, see ya, peace out, high five, Mark, and then I don't need to participate. Like I need that. I need you guys as much as I need the support I have at home and from friends, but the fitness journey is not,
it's never
it
over.
doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be just in your own head. Like I have to come in here on my own and work out on my own. I don't have a spotter. I got my own music, but knowing that we have the support network and we can talk through. So Munene, you and I chatted a little bit about your lower points that coming out of the show. Like we were on two ends of the spectrum, and like, it is not as much of a selfish journey as personal growth is. There's so much more. And when we have this team, and look, well, we said, like the snowball has turned into an avalanche. You got two new guys for the next shows. And I think people realizing that it doesn't have to just be you stuck trying to get through this whole thing, maybe with a coach, maybe without, or whatever your plan is. But you're like, no, we're all 3 separate boxes or 4 separate boxes, but we are all joined. Like that magnetism is real. It is tangible. It is, and it's the only reason that it's not the only reason, but it's a big factor of why all 3 of us made it to, each show, or, we get to these checkpoints along the way. And you're like, yeah, because we know we have that support. Like you can be self-driven, you can be stuck, you can do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be a solo journey, right? And I think that's huge too, knowing that it is truly a team effort and a team environment that you guys have, that you guys build with Team Truth here. And it shows every time, every time I hang out with you guys, every time we do a meetup, every time we see something on a group chat, like everyone's doing their own thing, but we all know that we've got each other's backs, and that makes all the difference, right?
So true, man.
It's like,
if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's a great saying, man. And that's the thing. It's like, I've always, from the get-go, it's like, I think what our clients should know is no matter what, if you're in my team, I've got your back, like through and through. Like once you're in my team, like it's done. Like I'm here, and you've got me in your corner for whatever you need, like life stuff, emotional support, like a fitness stuff, like that's it. And that's just kind of because that's one of my main values of like service to others and loyalty. And when people stick with me, I stick with them. And I think it goes to show why we've had like a lot of great long-term clients and built a lot of great relationships, is just because just people giving from both sides, right? Like the more you pour into this journey, the more you're going to get from the service, and the more you're going to get from me as well, and from yourself, and obviously better results too. But it's coming from, again, like having each other's back, and there's a really big peace of mind in that, and just always knowing that like there's somebody or people that are kind of looking out for you, no matter what, without you even need to say anything, that they just kind of have your back, So I think that's cool.
Amazing. Very well said. It's been an awesome.
Any final thoughts, Munene? Because I know Steve and I went off there, but you got any?
Yeah, my final thoughts are: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Those are my final thoughts. It's a culmination of everything you two have said in a very brief statement. Because everything you're saying is everything I'm agreeing with, like completely, wholeheartedly, and you two put it into very great words. So That's what I would say, for sure.
Love it, guys. So this is the last time we see Steve on this podcast for a little bit. We're making an exchange, but Steve, man, you're one hell of a dude. I'll tell you that. And that what we said before in the last podcast and what we said in the Instagram post is like, Steve has every excuse in the book possible: shift work, dad, husband, over 40, whatever you want to call it, but he still made it happen. So I think that says something, and that's like a really good kind of inspiration for anybody who's followed along this process. Steve, I guess
Amazing.
Is there anything that you want to say to kind of as your sign off? Anything you want to communicate about either the process or to people at home or personally, things that you've been thinking about?
Well, I know we've touched on it bits and pieces over the time, like over the podcasts, and it's hard to tell what conversations you and I have had or what I've had before, but I'm like, the big thing is I've run into people before that they hit this spot, whether it's a medical issue, whether there's something, whether, they start hitting these 40s, these 50s, and they're like, oh man, they're grabbing their gut. They're not quite happy. And you're like, but so many people wait, or they find the excuses, and you're like, it doesn't take much. Just, especially I've noticed, the farther away from kind of that normal range that you are, it doesn't take as much of a push to get that going. Like, you guys will talk at length with Mark, and dude's unreal. Like what he has done, and he shows it too. It's like you just need that push. Find an excuse, find a push, find a friend that is doing something, find anything real. Like I find it's got to be a real tangible thing. Like there are a lot of fake out there. I hate fake, but I look at buddies of mine that they just want to start working out. And I'm like, man, that is awesome. And we send each other form videos outside of things, and he's sending me PRs and I'm sending him PRs. And we're like, just find something tangible, and just go with it and be like, just get that first push. And I don't need to compare myself to the Munenes and the Parrises. Like I don't need that, but I will compare the work level. So if I want to see results, I see how much you guys put in. Yeah. When we're going to stand beside each other, we're going to look different. I look better. I'm just going to say it, but we look different. But at the end of the day, like I just compare that work level. If you want results, you got to put the work in, and it doesn't have to be, completely unattainable. It doesn't have to be like some of these podcasts you hear where you get up and you run 100 miles and then you do this and you're like, no, just keep it simple, get that push going, and just get started. Like just start doing something. And it's crazy how much better you feel, especially being 20 years out of regular activity, like out of gym class, right? Like we used to do gym class all the time. We rode our bikes everywhere. And then all of a sudden you hit that phase. Like you guys aren't as far out of that stuff, but when you're 20 years out of high school, you're farther away from just kind of having that freedom of what your body can do, and and just get out, start doing it. And then you don't have as many excuses when your knees crack, when you're trying to get out of bed and you're tired all the time. Like just get that push, find your motivation, get that push, and just get rolling.
Damn thing.
Yeah.
Just
and
do the damn thing.
Just not on my street, because I'm alpha dad on my street. So
yeah.
Take your own street. But
Yes.
I love that.
We're gonna have a whole army of alpha dads. Just
in each neighborhood. Each neighborhood
is their own. Stay out of mine.
Also kids.
That's hilarious. All right, guys.
I gotta move the chin up bar out into the driveway for the summer just to keep everybody out away.
That's a power move, Steve. That's a power move. You mean cooking chicken breast and doing pull-ups in your front yard.
That's it.
All right, guys. This has been an awesome podcast. I think we'll leave it there. Really, really, really cool stuff. And stay tuned for the show day vlog, which might come out before this podcast, I think, depending on, I'm not sure Courtney's sequence of events, but this is amazing. Have a fantastic Friday, everybody, for these two gentlemen, and whatever day of the week it is that ends in Y for the people listening or watching. Have a fantastic day. And if you made it this far listening to, if you watched all these episodes, send me a message and just say watched, and I don't know, I'm going to give you something special, because if you watched all these episodes, Like, you are a freaking cool person. That's all I gotta say, and it's much appreciated. We love you. So have a great day, and we'll see you next time with a new face. All right, cheers.